Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa group. Today, we are having another beautiful session of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17 by Radhika Kasturi Mataji. Right now, we are doing overview of the each chapter, 18 chapters. We are in now 17th chapter by Radhika Kasturi Mataji. Welcome, Mataji. We are very fortunate to have you in the call. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please take over the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna to all the Vaishnavas who are assembled on the call. My humble obeisances to all of you. I pray at your lotus feet that I am able to deliver the message of Srila Prabhupada on the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Thank you so much, dear devotees, for your kind attention. And now let's go to the Guru Pranam. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashaita Deshatarine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is dear to our Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at His lotus feet. Our respectful obeisances are unto you, O spiritual master, servant of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami. You're kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Deva and delivering the Western countries, which is filled with impersonalism and voidism. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Pandit, Shivas Thakur, and all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, dear devotees. And then we will go to our Hare Krishna Mahamantra's meaning. O Krishna, O energy of Krishna, please engage me in your service. And that is the meaning of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And now, without any further ado, we can get started with our 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And my mother-in-law is on the call here. My humble obeisances onto her. Every time she's shuttling down, because of which she was never able to attend online. But today I'm very fortunate that she's able to attend the class online. Thank you so much, Ma. Okay, so let's go to our 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita and see what the relevance is to the 17th chapter. So in the previous chapter, if you see, Krishna has established that faithful followers of the scriptures are called divine and the faithless are called demoniac. In 16.23, he has concluded that those who disregard the scriptures, that means those who do not follow the scriptures and those who whimsically behave, do not attain happiness in this life or in the next life. And in this chapter, Arjuna is asking Krishna about the fate of those people who have some faith, which is not, of course, based on scriptures. And Krishna, he is going to describe about that faith and other items in the three modes. So we all know from 14th chapter, we all learned about the modes, and the modes are Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And in short, Krishna, what was discussed in 16th chapter is that there are two extremes. One is that those who follow the rules of the scriptures, they are called divine people. Another set of people who do not follow the scriptures but are whimsically doing something, and they are the faithless or the demoniac. And in between, we have some set of people who have faith but they do not follow the scriptures. What is the fate of those people? That will be the question that Arjuna is going to put forward in this 17th chapter. So let's go to the 17th chapter now, starting verse verse 1. So this is the connection as we are able to see. And in general, we need to understand what is faith. faith is where our heart is. Wherever the subtle body is, that is where the faith is. And that is why we say the faith is subtle. So depending on the faith, depending on the depending on the modes that we act on, our faith is built in accordingly. So depending on the so we can identify what kind of faith a person has by saying, okay, if he performs this kind of charity, then we can say this person is in sattva guna, and if he is doing this kind of charity, then that person is in rajoguna. So through the action he performs in terms of say, for example, charity, the food he eats, austerity, sacrifices, we can identify which category this person belongs to, either in sattva, rajas, or tamas, according which one of one's faith is determined. So let's look into it more and understand what this faith exactly means. But before that, we need to understand what our Chaitanya Charitamrita says about faith. Shraddha sapte vishwasa kahe shru drida nishchaya, Krishna bhakti khaile sarva karma krita haya. So what is the meaning of this? We all know, if we water the roots, automatically all other branches of the tree are taken care of. So if we water Krishna, if we perform devotional service to Lord Krishna, whatever debts we have in terms of debts to the ancestors, rishis, munis, all of them are automatically taken care if someone is not able to fulfill them. So that is what is, you have to have that firm faith. The translation says, Shraddha is confident and firm faith that by rendering the transcendental loving service to Krishna, one automatically performs all subsidiary activities. And such a faith is favorable for the discharge of devotional service. So the firm faith that we have on Krishna, to the loving service of Lord Krishna, it takes care of all other subsidiary activities that we perform. And such a faith is actually favorable to the process of devotional service. This is what Madhya Leela says about faith. So now let's go and look into our first verse of Bhagavad Gita. And I don't want to take much time in saying a story, but if you all want, I can definitely cite some stories so that you understand what this faith exactly means before we actually delve into this chapter. So one of the stories that come to our mind is with regards to Narada Muni, who was asked by a Brahmana, "Oh, are you going to meet the Lord? Will you please ask him when I will attain my salvation?" And then Narada Muni said, "Okay. When I go and meet to the Lord, I will ask him about your salvation, O Brahmana." Like that, he responded. And Narada Muni, he proceeded, and then he happened to meet a cobbler there. And the cobbler was actually sitting under a tree, and he was mending the shoes. And cobbler similarly asked Narada Muni, "Oh, Narada Muni, are you going to go and meet the Lord? And will you please inquire him about when I'm going to get my salvation?" And Narada Muni, he went to the Vaikuntha planets. He asked Lord Narayana about the salvation of both the Brahmana and the cobbler. And what happened was, what did Narayana say? Narayana, he said, the Brahmana, he will come to me immediately after his death. He will immediately come to my Vaikuntha planets after his death. How about the Brahmana? When is he going to get his salvation? I really have no idea. It is going to take a number of births for him. I don't know when he is exactly going to come. And Narada Muni, he was astonished, because obviously he's a Brahmana, right? A Brahmana is supposed to be very austere, clean, and he's supposed to perform the rituals very nicely. How come a Brahmana, he is not able to attain the salvation immediately, but the cobbler is able to immediately go back after his death? What is the mystery here that I'm not able to understand? And Narayana, he says, so you're going to see that very soon. When you ask them what I'm doing in my abode, you tell them that I was threading the eye of the needle with an elephant. You should definitely tell them this is what I'm doing. And when Narada, he returned to the earth and he approached the Brahmana, and the Brahmana immediately asked, "Oh, have you seen the Lord? What was the Lord doing?" Like that he asked. And the Brahmana immediately, Narada Muni immediately responded to the Brahmana saying, he was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. He was pushing the elephant through the eye of a needle. And Narada answered, I don't believe, Brahmana answered, I don't believe such a nonsense. What are you talking about? How is that going to be possible for the Lord to do such an act? And Narada Muni, he immediately could understand that the man had no faith and he was just simply a reader of books. Some people just read books. When we recite slokas and when we don't understand the meaning of the slokas, or when we just don't follow the essence of the scriptures, if it is just through the books that we read, then where is the faith going to come from? We don't have faith installing machines, right? So that is what is the point here. And when Narada Muni happened to meet the Brahmana, the cobbler immediately asked the same question. Have you seen the Lord? What did the Lord do in his abode? He was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle, Narada replied. The cobbler, he began to weep. Tears were coming out from his eyes. And my Lord is so wonderful. He can do anything. Anything is possible with the Lord. And that was the answer this Brahmana happened to give him. Do you really believe that the Lord can push an elephant through a hole of a needle? Is it possible? Narada Muni asked. And the cobbler immediately responded saying, why not? Of course I believe it. How is that possible? You can see that I'm sitting under this banyan tree. And you can see that many fruits are falling off of the tree daily. And each seed, there is a banyan tree that comes like this. The seed is so small, teeny tiny. But then we see such a big tree that comes out of such a small seed. Why not? Why not this is possible by the Lord? He can definitely push an elephant through an eye of a needle. There is no doubt about it. And this is what is the faith that the cobbler had as opposed to the Brahmana. And this is what has helped him to reach the abode, to reach the Lord's abode, that is the Vaikuntha planet. Because of the faith, he was able to immediately go back to the Lord. Unlike the Brahmana who was just studying the scriptures without the real practical application of it. So this is a very good example for us to understand what faith is. So I just wanted to sort of give you an overview for you to help understand what this faith actually means. And now we can get into the first verse. The first verse talks about Arjuna's inquiry about unauthorized worship. Okay, Ye Shastra Arjuna Vacha, Ye Shastra Vidimustrija, Yajante Shraddhayanvitaha, Teshan Nishtatuka Krishna, Satvamaho Rajastamaha. Arjuna inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scriptures, but they worship according to their own imagination? What are they? Are they in mood of goodness or in passion or in ignorance? So this is what was the question that Arjuna posed to Krishna, because we talked about demoniac, divine, and now this is a sort of people who are in between these two. They have faith, but then they don't follow the scriptures. What are they up to? What sort of worship is this? Are they in goodness, passion, or ignorance? Can you please clarify and help me understand this verse? Understand this point. Like that, Arjuna is inquiring to Lord Krishna. So as you can see here, Srila Prabhupada has commented saying, are those who create some sort of God by selecting a human being and placing their faith in him, worshipping goodness, passion, or ignorance? Do such persons attain the perfectional stage of life? Is it possible for them to be situated in real knowledge and elevate themselves to higher perfectional stage? Do those who do not follow the rules and regulations of the scriptures, but those who have faith in something and worship gods and demigods and men attain success in their effort? Arjuna is putting these questions to Krishna. So it's very interesting to see what is Krishna going to respond to this and how are we going to understand about these set of people. So let's move on to our next verse and see what Krishna has to comment on this. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Trivida Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sasvabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrunu. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of three kinds. That is goodness, passion, and ignorance. Now hear about this. So let's understand. Now Krishna is responding to Arjuna's query. according to the moods one possesses, their faith also can be divided into three. So the faith in the purest form is pure. And because of our conditioning, because of the modes of material nature, like how we saw in the 14th chapter, different glasses are seen, right? The red tinted glass, for when we view it through the red tinted glass, it looks red. When we view it to the blue tinted glass, it looks blue. Like that, depending on one's faith, their modes are, depending on one's modes, their faith is ascertained. So that is what Krishna says here. Trivida bhavati shraddha. The shraddha is of three types. Dehinam sa swabhavaja. For the dehinam, that means the embodied living beings. Swabhavaja, it is born from the faith. Satviki rajasi chaiva. There is goodness, there is passion, and tamasi chetitam shrunu. There is also tamasa. So this is what Krishna says. And people have three types of faith that arise from their acquired swabhava. What is swabhava? We already saw that. The swabhava is nothing but material impressions that has been carried over from millions of births. A person, he behaves according to one mood or character is because of the impressions that is being stored in the mind. He reacts in a certain way, and that is because of his swabhava. And so this is due to the previous impressions. So what he is saying is the people have three kinds of faith that arise from their nature, that is swabhava, due to their previous impressions by the influence of the modes. Thus, one's faith can be in goodness, passion, or ignorance. So what he's trying to also say is that this person's nature, the swabhava, right? Can it be changed? Definitely, it can be changed. How can it be changed? It can be changed through the teachings of the spiritual master and by the scriptures. Gradually, one can change from ignorance to passion to goodness. Definitely, it is possible. Some people can be lazy, but their laziness can be changed. Definitely through the scriptures, Krishna Katha, hearing Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, reciting the Vedic literatures, all that can help the person's swabhava be changed. Slowly, they can move from ignorance to passion to goodness. It can definitely happen. That is what Srila Prabhupada says through the purport. We can read that here. The association of living entity with different modes of nature has been going on perpetually, right? Since the living entity is in contact with material nature, he acquires different types of mentality according to the association with the material modes. But this nature can be changed through the association with a bona fide spiritual master who abides by his rules and scriptures. So one has to see things carefully with intelligence in the association of bona fide spiritual master. And gradually their position can change from ignorance to passion to goodness. Definitely it is possible. The swabhava, which is there from millions of births, it can be changed through the association with a pure devotee of the Lord, who's the spiritual master and who abides by the rules and regulations of the scripture. So let's move on to the next verse. Ejante satvikante van yaksharaksham sirajasaha pretan bhutakanam shanye ejante tamasajanaha. Men in the mode of goodness worship demigods. Those in the mode of passion, they worship demons. And those in the mode of ignorance, they worship ghosts and spirits. So this is also a very interesting verse. We have to understand Ejante Satvikan Devan. So the faith in the Devatas is in the mode of goodness. So here Srila Prabhupada talks about Pancha Upasana worship. So the worship of the five gods. So that is Vishnu, Shiva, Surya, Durga, and Ganesh. So this is Pancha Upasana worship that people usually do. And it is also noted that amongst the 330 million demigods, anybody could be worshipped. And that is for those in the mode of goodness. Yaksha Rakshamsi Rajasaha. So when the person is in the mode of passion, he is actually worshipping the Yakshas and Rakshasas. And here Srila Prabhupada quotes about Hitler. So during the Second World War, what happened was a man in Calcutta, he started to worship Hitler because he had large amount of wealth that he had amassed in the black market after the Second World War. during that time of the World War. So when he found this man Hitler to be very wealthy, he thought that if he worships him, he will also become powerful man like him, and he'll also get a lot of opulence like him. And he started to worship Hitler as God, and that he would derive the same results as him. That was his expectation, and he started to worship Hitler. So Srila Prabhupada quotes that in the purport there. And then when one is in ignorance, what does he say? Pretan Bhudakanans Chanye. They start to worship pretas and the pretas, the bhutas, all these kind of creatures, they start to worship when the person is in the mode of ignorance. So this is the understanding of the verse. And here you can see, especially the last paragraph, Srila Prabhupada talks about the mode of worship and passion and ignorance. So it is clearly described here that those who are in mode of passion, they worship and create such gods, and those who are in mode of ignorance, they worship dead spirits. Sometimes people worship at the tomb of some dead man. In remote villages, they worship ghosts. We can see that in India, the low class people, sometimes they go to the forest, and if they have knowledge that the ghost lives there, they worship the tree and offer sacrifices to the tree. These different kinds of worship, they are not actually God worship. It's all coming out of their modes. And this is all not in accordance with any scriptures per se. So this is what is worship in three modes. And we saw examples for passion and ignorance, and we also talked about the Devata worship, which is in the mode of goodness. And now let's move on to the next verse. Okay. So this is 5th and 6th verse of Bhagavad Gita, talking about demoniac austerity. What is that? Ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapojanaha dampo hankara samyuktaha kamaraga bhalanvitaha karshayanta sharirastam bhutagramam achetasaha mam chaivanta sharirastam tanvidyasura nischayan. What about this verse? What does demoniac austerity means? Let's understand that. Ashastra vihitam goram. Ashastra vihitam. That which is not talked about in the scriptures. Goram. Goram means it is dreadful, harmful to others. Tapyante etapo janaha. Those people who do that kind of austerity of this kind. Dampa ahankara samyuktaha. What is the nature of this austerity? They are filled with arrogance and pride. Damba ahankara samyuktaha. We know damba ahankara samyuktaha. And what are they motivated by? Kamaraga balanvitaha. They are motivated by desire and attachment. Karshayanta sharirastam. Karshayanta means they torture themselves. Bhuta grama achetasaha. Bhuta gramam, the body which is made of material elements. Achetasaha, their consciousness is misdirected. It is not directed towards the spiritual reality, but it is misdirected. Karshayanta. And whom do they trouble? Mamchaivanta sharirastam. They not only torment themselves, they also torment me, Krishna says. Tanvidya asura nishchayan. They are definitely asuras. They are definitely demoniac people, no doubt about it. So we can understand that the translation actually says, those who undergo severe austerities and penances, which is not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, dhamba ahankara, who are impelled by lust and attachment, and who are foolish, and who torture the material elements of the body as well as super souls dwelling within, are to be known as demons. They are called demoniac people. And we can understand Srila Prabhupada's purport. Here he says, when a person is doing this ashastra vihitam goram, this person, he doesn't follow the scripture and he acts in a way which is very harmful to others. Such kind of sacrifice is not at all glorious. It is so unfortunate. Such sacrifice actually backfires a person. Why it backfires? It backfires, meaning it doesn't yield any results. It just comes back to him. Because the sacrifice doesn't lead to person's spiritual advancement. Usually when we see austerity, we look at it as it's going to get him elevated to a spiritual platform. That is what we say, right? I mean, that is why people usually do austerities. And this kind of sacrifice is going to entangle this person furthermore in the bodily consciousness, and it's going to put him in self-centeredness, which is going to be self-destructing, and it is going to harm him also, self-defeating. It is going to defeat the purpose for which he is striving to attain. And generally, we don't, of course, think austerity to be demoniac, but in this case, we definitely see that this person who is not following the scriptures, he's doing some sort of austerity, troubling himself, and he's troubling the super soul dwelling within also. So this kind of austerity is definitely demoniac. Let's understand the purport and see what Srila Prabhupada has to say further. Persons of normal mental conditions must obey the scriptural injunctions. Those who are not in such a position, what do? They neglect and disobey the scriptures and manufacture their own way of austerities and penances. One should always remember the ultimate end of demoniac people, as described, is that life after life without knowing their relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because what happens? They are going to be put into further and further bodily entanglement. It is not going to give them spiritual elevation at all. If, however, such persons are fortunate enough to be guided by a spiritual master who can direct him to the path of Vedic wisdom, then they can get out of this entanglement and ultimately achieve the supreme goal. So obviously, if they are going to come in contact with a pure devotee of the Lord, who's going to be the spiritual master, this can help them elevate and achieve the supreme goal of our life, that is to have transcendental loving service with the Lord. So this is what is the understanding of the verse on 5 to 6. So here there are definitely some stories that can be quoted. I think in the previous chapter, Lalitangi Mataji talked about Bhaumasura, right? Just to further illustrate the pastime, here Bhaumasura, he went to Himalayas and he cut his flesh and thighs. He literally cut his flesh and thighs and he put it in the fire. And still Shiva was not coming to see him. And then what he was going to do? He was going to cut his head and throw it in the fire. And when he was going to cut his neck, Shiva came. My dear son, what are you doing? Why are you killing yourself? When Bhamasura was asked this question, why are you not coming, Lord Shiva? Since you did not come, I was going to kill myself. This is very passionate kind of worship. And Shiva asked, now tell me, what benediction do you want? And immediately Bhaumasura, as you all know, replied, I want, whenever I touch somebody's head, they must be dead. Their head must be broken into pieces and they must be dead. This is the boon I want. And Shiva was like, what kind of benediction are you asking for? Why don't you ask for some benediction that can make you happy, that can make your own self happy? Why do you want to kill somebody? Why do you want to ask for this kind of benediction which is going to torture somebody? Bhamasura was now going to change his mind, and he said, I want this benediction only. And immediately Shiva said, Tatastu, and this benediction, this benediction was given to Bhamasura. As Mataji said, this Bhamasura, he wanted to test it on Lord Shiva himself, because he wanted to acquire Mother Parvati. And so since he was going to come and touch, Shiva said Shiva was running for his life. And then when he came across a Gurukul Brahmana boy, which is Lord Vishnu himself. And Lord Vishnu, when he met Bhaumasura, why are you running after Lord Shiva? I mean, he told him that I want to test this boon that Shiva gave to me. And that is why I'm running to chase him, to make sure that the boon worked. And this Brahmana Gurukul boy said, what if it doesn't work? People will laugh at you. So you go to a secret place and test for yourself by placing the hand on your head to see if it's working or not. Like that he was told, and Bhamasura immediately listened to that kind of advice that the Brahmana boy gave to him, which is Lord Vishnu's advice, and immediately he died. So this is the story that, see, these people are torturing themselves so much to the extent that they don't align with the scriptures, and because of the torture that they are doing to themselves, they get destroyed at the end. Because this type of austerity is no benefit at all. It doesn't elevate them spiritually. So it doesn't lead them anywhere. And on top of it, they get destroyed themselves. Okay. So let's move on to the, there's also another story. I would just try to briefly talk about the story, just to understand the 6th verse, the austerity, the demoniac kind of austerity that people do these days. So there is one video that was circulating, which is this video from Spain, and there they have a yearly program. What they do is, there is a walk, people have to walk on the hot coal. The coal will be really red hot, and people are supposed to walk on that red hot coal. So there'll be a triangular bar, and 4-5 meters in length, and the hot coal will be put on it, and lot of oil will be poured on top of the coal so that it's burning hot. And so these people, lot of people will gather, like how people will come and watch a cricket match or a tennis match. Lot of people gathering will take place. They will carry their children, they'll bring their relatives, friends to watch this as if it is an event. And what happens is, these family members, they will congratulate at the end. If a person successfully completes walking through the hot coal, then they will start to congratulate this person, hug this person, gives some sweet words to him, as if it's a big achievement that this person has done. And these people who are on the stadium, they have a set of people who are monitoring the emotions of what is happening in the stadium. Like how does the wife react? How does the friend react? How does the relative of this react? And what about the others in the stadium? How do they react? They calculate all these experiences that people are experiencing, and they publish it as an article, publish it as a study, so that everybody can enjoy reading that kind of article. And when this person is interviewed, one of the times he was asked, why do you guys do this? What is the reason? Why are you involved in such a thing? And he says it brings some sort of closeness to the family. There is a community gathering that happens. There is a bonding that happens between the family members. And so there is also a feeling of achievement in your life. And this brings the heart close to each other, with the family members, with relatives, with friends. After this, a big feast happens. So we really enjoy this moment. This is what this person responded. And so we know this kind of act is in tamoguna, and this person who's doing this doesn't even know that this act is in tamoguna or in mode of ignorance. That is what is the situation of these kind of people who are involved in such kind of terrible activities or austerities. Okay, now let's move on to the next verse, which is food, sacrifice, austerities, and charity. What about this? आहारस्त्वपि सर्वस्य त्रिविधो भवति प्रियाः यज्ञस्तपस्तथा दानं तेषां भेदामिमं शृणु. Even the food, each person prefers this of 3 kinds, according to the 3 modes of material nature. The same is true of sacrifices, austerity, and charity. Now hear of the distinctions between them. In terms of different situations of the modes of nature, there are differences in the manner of eating, performing sacrifices, austerity, and charity. They are not at all conducted on the same level. Those who understand it analytically, what kind of performance are done in what mode of material nature, are actually wise. Those who consider all kinds of sacrifices and food or charity to be the same cannot distinguish. They are foolish. Some people, we all know there are 2 sets of people. One set of people are the wise, another set of people are you foolish. So even on the charity, eating food, or performing austerities, they are all different modes. And a person who is ignorant may consider everything to be same, right? I'm doing charity, but who are you doing this charity to matters, right? And this person in the mode of goodness, he knows what he's doing. He can see the consequences of what is going to happen. Accordingly, he does what he does. Again, in the mode of passion, you're always attached to the fruits. You want the fruits. What am I going to get in return? How am I benefiting from this? This is your mode of approach. And the person in the mode of ignorance, he doesn't know what he's doing, right? So we will definitely understand in depth from 8th verse onwards as to how these people react and do these things. So let's go to the 8th verse of Bhagavad Gita. So 8th to 10th talks about food in the 3 modes. Okay. आयुस्सत्व बलारोग्य सुख प्रीति विवर्धनः रस्य स्निग्ध स्थिरा हृदया आहार सात्विका प्रियाः. One's lifespan, purity, strength, health, Happiness and satisfaction will increase by such foods. Sukha priti vivardhanaha. Happiness and satisfaction will increase by the consumption of sattvic foods. Rasya snigdha stira hridaya. What is this kind of sattvic foods? They are juicy, they are fatty, they are wholesome, and they are pleasing to the heart. That is the nature of the sattvic foods. Ahara sattvika priyaha. Such foods are dear to people in the mode of goodness. It's a very interesting verse, because obviously food and prasadam is something that we all consume every day. Ayu sattva bhalarogya sukha priti vivardhanaha. So what the food and mode of goodness vivardhana means to increase. Increase what? Increase the ayu sattva balarogya. That is, it increases the ayu sattva and balarogya. So we have the duty to take care of our body, right? Our body is very important because we need to perform our dharma. We need to perform service to Lord Krishna. Therefore, maintaining our body is also it's an important duty that we need to perform. And here Srila Prabhupada talks about what does Ayurveda say. Ayurveda actually says that we should only eat 50% of our stomach, and remaining 25% must be filled with water, and remaining 25% should actually be filled with air, prana, that can help us to digest the food. So this is what Ayurveda recommends, and this is what is seen through the purport of Srila Prabhupada. We should not fill our stomach to the extent that we are not even able to breathe. Oh, I don't even have space to drink water. That definitely should not be the intention. We should always make sure we only eat 50%, and then the rest of the 50% goes for water and air. So that's a fair amount of digestion takes place in our body. And Srila Prabhupada also says, the purpose of the food is to increase the duration of life, purify the body, and aid bodily strength. This is the only purpose. In the past, great authorities have selected those foods that help best aid health and increase life's duration, such as milk products, sugar, rice, wheat, fruits, and vegetables. These foods are very dear to the people in the mode of goodness. So it's very, very nice. In fact, Krishna consciousness goes one step above, and what we do is we cook the food, we cook sattvic food, and then we offer it with loving service to Lord Krishna. And when Krishna eats his food, we eat the remnants and get the mercy of Lord Krishna through that way. So this is what we do in Krishna consciousness. We are because what happens is eating of food actually affects our consciousness, right? It's very subtle. What we eat, so we are, right? Whatever we are is because of the food we eat. And it's very important that our consciousness is good in a sattva platform always, and for that we need to have prasadam, and that actually creates the right mood for us to be involved in practicing devotional service. And this is something that Srila Prabhupada, otherwise we are verily eating sin. That is what Bhagavad Gita says. And we need to make sure to offer the food to the Lord and then eat the remnants of the Lord, because it's the mercy that comes from the Lord. And again, as we all know, if you see some obscene picture in the internet of some color and form and some shape, it affects our consciousness. It creates certain kind of mentality within us. And now with the food also, we have raga and dvesha. There is attachment and repulsion to certain kinds of foods. But based on the foods we take, there is a certain experience, and food actually shapes our consciousness at a very subtle level. And that is what is pointed out in the Ayurveda too. That is why we become what we eat, which is what is clarified in the mode of goodness. Now in the mode of passion, what does Srila Prabhupada say? Katvam lalavanatyushna tikshna rukshna vidahinaha ahara rajasasyeshta dukkha soka maya pradaha. Foods that are excessively bitter, sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. What do they cause? They actually cause distress, lamentation, and disease. So this is what is clarified. So this sattvic people, they don't involve in such kind of foodstuffs because they don't want to experience distress. That is why they are staying away from it. And on the contrast, we say passionate people, they want to eat this kind of excessively hot food, sour food. Oh, there is no taste to this food, some people will say. And nice spice and nice condiments. If you add nice masalas with the flavor of onion, garlic, all that, these passionate people, that is what they like. Very salty, very pungent, dry, burning. So uh, these are all the requirements for people in the mode of passion. This is how they prepare their food. Katvam lalavanatyushna tikshna rukshna vidahinaha. Ahara rajasasyesta. These foods are very dear to the people in the mode of passion. Dukkha soka maya pradaha. This causes distress, misery, and disease. Sometimes we see, right, the people are taking the spicy food and tears start to come out of their eyes, and it is, and they say wonderful. How can it be wonderful when tears are flowing from your eyes? It's like watching a horror movie. You feel the stimulus. You're so certainly scared, but still you love watching that movie. And nowadays we see there is too much of salt, sugar, and spices in the food that we buy in containers, right? This is just to sell the products, just to make it so tasty. There is a lot of selling such products that are happening in the markets now, and they increase the ingredients so that people start to buy these products. And what happens is, at the end of the day, it brings a lot of distress to people, and at the end they get a lot of diseases, meaning
Mataji?
high BP, so on and so forth.
Hello, Mataji.
Yes,
Which class is this?
this is Bhagavad Gita, dear.
Like which group of Bhagavad Gita?
Adult class, Bhagavad Gita.
Oh, this is adult class.
Yes.
Okay, Mataji, I have to leave.
Okay, thank you. So passionate foods, what do? They say sometimes they create burning in the back, they create burning in the belly, and so much depression comes after eating. Oh, my stomach is paining here, there, back is paining here and there. So these are all the diseases that comes as a result of passion. And now in the ignorance, we can see and identify what are the characteristics of the food in the mode of ignorance. Yatayamam katarasam tuti pariyushitam chayat uttishtam api chametyam bhojanam tamasapriyam. Foods which are stale, tasteless, bad smelling, decomposed, consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to those in the mode of darkness. So as you can see in the picture, this is stale food, bad smelling, decomposed food, the food that is cooked and stored in for a long time. So there's not nothing much left, right? I mean, the juice is almost gone, and still people want to eat such kind of food, which is foul smelling, which is decomposed, and they also eat the remnants of other people, right? Some say, for example, there are 4 people sitting in the table, and each of them are eating the remnants of the other. They don't mind eating the remnants of the other. This is considered untouchable, but they eat that all in one plate is being shared between 4 people. And the meat, of course, is in the mode of ignorance. We see that the liquor that we consume, that is also in the mode of ignorance. So there is the scorpion lollipop. This is actually a live scorpion, which is being sold in the market as a lollipop, and it is being taken by people who are tamasic. That is what is the state of these tamasic people. They eat any kind of food which is being given to them. All right, so that is the food in the mode of ignorance. Of course, we all know corona. That is all happening due to the bad soup, and this is all done by people in the mode of ignorance. They like such kind of foods, and because of which we see what the consequences are as a result. Any food that is cooked for more than 3 hours before it is eaten, except prasadam, food offered to the Lord, is considered in the mode of darkness. So that is the food in the mode of darkness. Afala, Kankshi, so now we'll come to the sacrifices in the 3 modes. So now by identifying these people, oh, he's eating such a kind of food, then we understand that, he is in the mode of goodness, or he is in the mode of passion, or he is in the mode of ignorance. We can definitely ascertain that by just looking at him and his behavior. Similarly, in sacrifices also, it is of 3 kinds. Let's understand further and get a deeper meaning of what it means. Afalakankshibiryajño vididishto yaityate shtavyameveti manaha samadhaya sasatvikaha Sacrifice performed according to the directions of the scripture as a matter of duty by those who desire no reward. So these people, sattva, in the mode of sattva, they are doing it as a duty. They are duty bound. And then they don't expect any kind of reward. No material benefit, nothing of that sort. So this is the nature of the people in the mode of goodness. And so if you look at them, they follow the scriptural injunctions. They do it as a matter of duty, means they go to the temple, church as a matter of duty. They don't go for economic benefit. So what will I get out of it? What is the fruit I'm going to have? All that is not something they look forward to. They desire no reward. They have a general tendency to offer with a purpose in mind. That's all. And then offer everything to the Lord. So that is the mood they operate on. That is the mood with which they perform the sacrifices also. And now in the mode of passion, abhisantaya tu phalam dhambartham apichaivayat ijyate bharata shreshta tamajñam vidhi rajasam. So what about these people? So these people, abhisandaya tu phalam, when one is attached to the fruits, that is what is the nature of the rajasic people, right? Abhisandaya, that means he's attached. Yes, I should get the result. Damba artham apichaivayat. Damba artham means out of damba, out of attachment, apichaivayat. See how much yajna I'm doing. Look at me, how nicely I'm doing everything. How much punya I'm going to get. What all I'm doing. Look at me, my performance of the yajna. Look at how many priests I have invited. Look at the number of people who have come to attend the yajna. Watch the yajna. How much benefit I'm going to get. I'm a very punyavan. Like that, they like to do this kind of thing. They are showing to themselves that they are the doers and they have attachment to the result. What am I going to get out of this yajna? I'm going to get a lot of Lakshmi, as they are doing Lakshmi Puja here. You can all see that. I'm going to get a lot of Lakshmi out of the sacrifice. This is something that the mode of a person, the mode of passion expects. He expects for results and he expects that he gets material benefits out of this yajna, that the sacrifice that he performs. That is mode of passion. Vidhihinam ashishtanam mantrahinam adakshinam shraddha virahitam yajnam tamasam parichakshate. So what about the, so if you also look at this persons who are worshipping Lord Lakshmi, they are doing it without Lord Narayana. They're just worshipping Lakshmi, that too for material benefit. And wherever Narayana is, that is where Lakshmi is. So we need to understand that. And we also have the story of Ramayana where Ravana actually took away Sita to Lanka without Rama. So we should always worship Lord Shiv, Lord Rama and Sita together, like that, Narayana and Lakshmi together. That is the real worship, right? And here this side of worship for material benefit, a business exchange is happening. If you do this, I will do this, like that. So that is mode of passion. A doership mentality is there, and then they are expecting the fruits. Those are the two things the person in the mode of passion operates on. Vidhihinam ashishtanam mantrahinam adakshinam shraddha virahitam yajnam tamasam parichakshate. Any sacrifice performed without the directions of scriptures, without the distribution. So that there are 5 things that we need to follow. Okay, one is the direction of scriptures. Another is mantras should be chanted. Then food should be distributed. The prasadam that comes out of the yajna should be distributed to everybody, and remuneration should be given to the priest. Why should the remuneration be given to the priest? Because otherwise the priest is going to get all the benefits of the yajna that we are performing. He will get the benefit. And then the faith at the subtle level is also required. These are the 5 things that are required for yajna. Because with the faith, okay, I don't really need anything. I need something. Some sort of faith is there, right? So that is also a subtle thing that is there when sacrifices are performed. So it should be in accordance with the scriptures. Mantra should be chanted. Food should be distributed. Remuneration should be given to the priest. And faith at the subtle level is also required. When none of these are there, then that is in the mode of ignorance. So that is the sacrifice in the mode of ignorance. We all remember, right? I mean, Govardhana Lila, all of them after that Govardhana Lila, food was distributed to everyone. Srila Prabhupada in his early days, even though he didn't have, there was no guarantee for his own food. Sometimes he doesn't know if he will get food that night or not. But even then, with whatever he had, if he had one apple, he will cut that slice into several pieces and distribute it to everyone. That was the nature of Srila Prabhupada. When this was the this type of sacrifice, like he was not sure if he was going to get a meal of food that night or not, but he would distribute that one piece of apple to multiple people. So everyone is benefited at the end of the day. So this is, again, we saw sacrifice in 3 modes. And we also know there is so there is Ganapati Baba with a cricket bat, and people will worship him out of ignorance and perform some. They will do some sort of competition also with that. Who's doing the biggest Ganesh? Let's see. And the politician will say, I did the biggest Ganesh, and here is the Ganesh that is there, and he will portray it and show it to everybody, saying, see what I did, what such a big Ganesh I was able to make, like that. So this is all not done out of devotion, but because of ignorance, they are doing and performing such kind of acts. And in Durga Puja, sometimes what happens is rock music will be going on. Somebody will be smoking cigarette and they will be cooking food. There will be boys and girls who are, as lovebirds, they'll be engaged but not paying attention to Lord Durga, whose worship is there. And everybody would gather and do their own business there without actually doing the puja themselves. And we also seen that some people fast till death. Some politicians, they will say, I'm going to fast till death. This is all done in the mode of ignorance. Another classic example is the thieves. They strike to deal with, try to strike a deal with Lord Balaji. They'll say, if I'm going to steal this much, I'll share 50% profit with you, Lord Balaji. This is my promise to you. And immediately after they get that money that they scandal, they will start to share it with Balaji, put it in the hundil. And this is all done in the mode of ignorance. So this is what is the understanding from sacrifices in the 3 modes. Now let's look at the austerity in the 3 modes. Devadvija Guru Pragnya Pujanam Chauchamarjavam Brahmacharyam Ahimsa cha Shariram Tapa Uchyate. So what is that which is the austerity of the body? The austerity of the body involves 5 things. That is the worship of the Supreme Lord, Brahmanas, spiritual masters, superiors like father and mother. And then it involves cleanliness, both internal cleanliness and external cleanliness. It involves simplicity and celibacy and non-violence. These are the 5 things which are considered to be austerity of the body. And we all know about worshipping the Supreme Lord. We always pay obeisances to the Supreme Lord, give respect to the Supreme Lord. Whenever we go to the temple, we offer the dandavats to the Lord, and we pay obeisances to the Vaishnavas. We respect our parents. This is all required physically to do. And then there is cleanliness, internal cleanliness that is required by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and then external cleanliness like showering, taking care of your body so that you look clean at all points in time to perform the service of the Lord. Simplicity, right? I mean, we definitely want to simplify our life as much as possible. That means we just acquire things like what we need, and don't invest our emotions on material things so much, because if we are going to invest our energy and time on material things, we will not have time for devotional activities. The more we simplify our life, the more it becomes easy for us to actually focus on the Lord and get the inner fulfillment, and that makes a difference in our life. And then celibacy and non-violence. Ahimsa means non-violence. So this is all with regards to austerity of body. Okay, austerity of speech. Anudveka karam vakriyam hitam chayat swadhyayanam chaivas vanmaya agitate others, that are truthful, pleasing, and beneficial, and regular recitation of you, the austerity that it should not agitate the minds of others, right? That is a penance in itself. When we start to talk, it should be pleasing to the ears of the other person, and it should not create agitation and anxiety. Oh, this person is coming. What is he going to talk? How is he going to agitate me? If that is the mood, then how will somebody be able to get that sort of friendly relationship with you? It is not possible. And one should not keep talking nonsense. And what does that mean? That means we should talk about regular recitation of the Vedic literatures. We should talk something about Lord Krishna, glorify Lord Krishna. In this way, our speech is also purified. By that sort of discussions, what we derive is the highest pleasure. And there is so much literatures that Srila Prabhupada has given us, and one should study all of this. This is the austerity of the speech. And if you look at, in terms of things that we need to follow for austerity of speech, it is speaking truthful words, it should be pleasing, it should be beneficial, and it should be non-agitating. What is non-agitating to others? A teacher can he can actually correct a student. He can say whatever he needs to say the student. Even if it is agitating, he can tell his students. But other students, if he's not his student, he cannot go and tell him, right? So we should be careful and distinguish and discriminate the environment we are in. And we should also regularly recite the Vedic literatures and make it available. And this is the austerity of speech. So I don't have time for stories or anything, but we will move on to the next one. Austerity of mind. Manaprasada saumyatvam maunamatma vinigraha bhava samsutiri tetad. I'm so sorry. Tapo manasamuchyate. Satisfaction, simplicity, that is simplicity meaning no duplicity, gravity meaning silence and self-control, and purity of heart are the austerities of the mind. So it's very, very important to understand what the austerity of the mind is, because so manaprasada saumyatvam. What is saumyatvam? Manaprasada. What is manaprasada? It means satisfaction. Satisfaction, we all know it is a state of mind. And so when we are eating something, we are really happy about it. And then it also means it's a choice we make. The happiness and distress is a choice, right? Say, for example, your neighbor, he has a big car, he has a big house. And if we start to become agitated because that person has this big house, then we are not going to be happy. We are going to be in distress. So it's also a choice. Satisfaction is also a choice. It's up to you. You can be satisfied if you want. If you don't want yourself to be compared with others, then you can be satisfied. That is satisfaction. And then saumyatvam, without being duplicitous towards others. Srila Prabhupada also translated simplicity, right? I mean, he says, just lead a simple, straightforward life. Don't make it so complex. Just don't try to make it so hard on you. And maunam, that means Srila Prabhupada translated it as gravity. Gravity means doing useful things. Atma vinigraha, meaning self-control. The mind, it always wants to, it always feels, oh, I might lose this thing. So there is always that fear. And there is always this hankering that happens. So what Srila Prabhupada says is that you should have self-control. Whatever you have, how much ever you need, you just hold so much, and then just have self-control. Even if you're looking at so many things that this world has to offer, there must be sense control in you. You should not be carried away by your senses. This is what is self-control. And bhava samsuddhir, meaning purification of existence. That is what is the austerities of the mind. So the Srila Prabhupada here says, the more you think of sense enjoyment, the more you become dissatisfied. And so there is a possibility of mind getting dissatisfied due to sense gratification. The best course is to divert your mind on Vedic literature and read the Puranas, Mahabharatas and all that. And that way your mind is going to get purified. So this is, you should also you should also avoid duplicity, and that means you should actually think about the welfare of everybody. And silence means you should detach yourself from sense enjoyment, and you do useful things such as glorifying the Lord, talking about the Lord, engage in the devotional service of the Lord. These are all some useful things that you can perform, and this way your mind is going to get purified. This is austerity of the mind. And now austerity in the three modes. Let's understand that. Shraddhaya paraya taptam tapastat trividam naraihi afalakankshibhiryuktaihi satvikam parichakshate. The threefold austerity performed with transcendental faith by men not expecting material benefits, by engaged only for the sake of the Supreme. This is called austerity in the mode of goodness. As you all can see, the Sattva people, they don't expect anything. No material benefits are expected, and they perform the activity here for the sake of the Supreme. That is the austerity. Because of the transcendental faith they have, this austerity is in the mode of goodness. And then next one is Satkara Mana Pujatam Tapodambena Chaivayat Kriyate Tadiha Proktam Rajasam Chalam Adruvam. The penance or austerity that is performed out of pride and for the sake of gaining respect and honor, this worship is said to be in the mode of passion. It is neither stable nor permanent. As you all can see, when a person performs an austerity just for the sake of pride, I do this act because I want people to honor me and respect me. If he does that for that sake, then that is in the mode of passion. And then in the mode of ignorance, Muda grahi natmano yat pidaye kriyate tapaha parasyot sadhanatam va tat tamasam udahritam. What do? They actually do self-torture or destroy or injure others. And this type of austerity is in the mode of ignorance, like how we saw the demoniac austerity. And this is what these people are doing. They are self-torturing themselves, and at the end of the day, they get destroyed themselves at the end as a result. So this is in the mode of ignorance. So the first one, goodness, is done with transcendental faith. It is not expecting any material benefits and done for the sake of the supreme. And here, the second one, in the mode of passion, it is done out of pride and it is for the sake of respect, honor, and worship. And these people desire to be worshipped by their subordinates. They want the subordinates to actually worship them. And this type of austerity is neither stable or permanent. It's only going to be temporary. And then the third one is in the mode of ignorance. It is done out of foolishness with self-torture and to destroy themselves or to others, or they cause injury to others. This is what is in the mode of ignorance. So we all know the story for austerity in the mode of ignorance. So there was this person, and when this person did tapa, God appeared to him and God asked him, what kind of benediction do you want? And whatever my neighbor gets, I want to get that in double. Wanted. Neighbor actually lost one of his eyes. You look at person will have 2 eyes. That is the criteria of the boon. Whatever the neighbor has, I should get that in twice, or vice versa. Like I think this person asked if my neighbor gets only 1 car, I should have 2 cars. If he gets 2 houses, I should get 4 houses. So now this neighbor lost one of his eyes, and now he's going to lose both his eyes. This is mode of ignorance. So we don't really, this person doesn't know what he's actually asking for, and it's causing injury to himself and others. And now charity in the mode of 3 moods. Charity in the 3 moods. Datavyamiti yaddanam diyatenupakarinye teshe kale cha patre cha taddanam satvikam smritam. Charity given out of duty. So we can see right from the beginning, the sattvic person, he is always duty bound. He doesn't expect anything in return. And he gives this kind of charity at a proper time and proper place to a worthy person. Okay. And that is considered to be in the mode of goodness. And what is this worthy person means, we can definitely see. And we can also understand what Srimad Bhagavatam says about charity. So if you give charity to a non-devotee, then what happens is, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, it will come to you in equal proportion. Okay, if you give it to a non-devotee, say for example, you give 100 gold coins to a non-devotee, 100 gold coins comes back to you in return. But the same thing, there are classifications like Brahmanas, if you give, you're going to get it 1,000 times back. At the same time, if you give it to a if you give it to a self-realized person, one who understands the Vedas, the essence of the Vedas, or devotees of Krishna, pure devotees of Lord Krishna or Krishna, then what happens is the wealth is not going to decrease at all. It will keep increasing. So this is what happens when you actually give charity to a Krishna conscious person or a pure devotee of a Lord, self-realized soul, to Krishna, to temples. So if you're going to give charity, then the wealth is not going to decrease. The wealth is going to increase. Unlike you're giving it to a non-devotee, it increases to the same extent. It doesn't increase. Whatever you give, you will get. And then if you give it to a Brahmana, you get 1,000 times in return. But if you give it to a Krishna conscious person or a pure devotee, a self-realized soul, this wealth that you give keeps on increasing. And hence, whenever we have distributions of books, or whenever we are asked to purchase some books, we should wholeheartedly do that, because it's all going to Krishna, and it's all going to benefit others who are going to take up Krishna consciousness. So that is the That is the understanding of the charity in the mode of goodness. Yattu paryupakarta, sorry, this is in the mode of passion. Yattu paryupakarartam phalam uddishya va punaha dhyate cha pariklishtam taddanam rajasam smritam. What about a rajasic person? Of course, he is going to accept some fruits. He wants some return. He wants some fruits out of it, or desire to have fruitive results, or in a grudging mood, he gives charity. That is the person in the mode of passion. Oh, I'm just forced to give because others are giving. I'm not really interested in giving charity, but I'm just forced to give because that way he gives it in a grudging mood. Otherwise, he looks for benefits. So what am I going to get in return? If I give $100 to this devotee, maybe he will give me $200 in return at some other point in time, or maybe I can ask him this favor of becoming a temple president or something. Some sort of motivation is there when this person actually gives charity. So that is mode of passion. Adesha kale yaddanam apatrebhyascha diyate asatkritam avijñatam tat tamasam udahritam. And what about in ignorance? The charity is performed at an impure place, improper time to an unworthy person without proper attention and respect is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So this person is in the mode of ignorance. That is why he doesn't know most of the time what he is doing. Whatever he does, he doesn't see the consequences of it. He just does it without knowing what consequences are going to come to him. It is done at an improper place, improper time to an unworthy person. Say, for example, for the consumption of alcohol, gambling, if somebody gives charity to somebody else, that is totally in the mode of ignorance, without any kind of proper attention and respect. Sometimes, this person may come to him 1,000 times. At the 1,000th time, this person will get, okay, just take this. And he throws the money right up on the table or something like that. Without any respect, he gives the charity. And how is it that he's going to get benefit out of it? Right? Because he gives that kind of charity without any respect to the other person. So this is in the mode of ignorance. So now let's move on to the next verse. Sadbhave sadhubhave cha sadhityetat prayuchyate prashashte karmani tata sachabda partha yujyate yagne tapasi dhane cha sthiti sadhityochyate karma chaiva thadartiyam sadhityeva vidhiyate. So let's understand at the end of the day what is sat and what is asat means. Now we have seen the three modes and their combinations are going to be binding us to this material world. Now Krishna, he has to explain us what the defects, how these defects can be removed. Right? Obviously, we have to come about the three modes, and how are these defects going to be removed? That is going to be removed by chanting Om Tat Sat, which is the names of Lord Vishnu. And the activity will then become transcendental. Whatever kind of activity we do, if we are going to chant the names of Lord Vishnu, Om Tat Sat, and do that particular activity, then that particular activity becomes a transcendental activity. Thus, the person who has a non-scriptural faith can gradually get elevated. This person is now without any kind of faith, right? He just does. He doesn't follow any scriptures. He has some faith, but then he doesn't have the scriptural faith, and so he could have slowly elevate. To elevate gradually, he can be elevated by chanting the names of Lord Vishnu. That is Om Tat Sat. If he says at the end of every activity and performs that activity, then he will be able to get elevated. That is what is being clarified through these verses. If you look at verses 26, 27, and the 28th verse talks about that. So here Krishna says the absolute truth is objective of devotional sacrifice, and it's indicated by the word Sat. The performer of sacrifice is also called Sat, and all the works of sacrifice, penance, and charity true to the absolute nature are performed to please the Supreme Person, O son of Pratap. He quotes a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam and says that 3.25.25, it says that the transcendental subject matter becomes clear in the association of devotees. Without a good association, one cannot achieve the transcendental knowledge. When initiating a person or offering the sacrificial thread, one vibrates Om Tat Sat. Similarly, all kinds of yajna, when we chant the Om Tat Sat, that this person will slowly then get elevated. So which is what is the understanding that we get from verses 26 and 27. And then 28th verse, which is the last verse of Bhagavad Gita, talks about asat. Anything done as sacrifice, charity, or penance without faith, that is, without faith in the Supreme, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, O son of Pritha, it's impermanent. It is called asat, and it's useless both in this life and next. So whatever you do without faith, it's definitely not going to give you any kind of result. It is going to be useless, not only in this life, but also next life. So activities done without faith in the Supreme are simply within the modes of the material nature. That is why it is temporary, and that is why they are useless. And one in the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, he can transcend the modes. He can go up and transcend the modes altogether by taking up the process of pure devotional service. So one should develop that kind of association and hanker for the association of pure devotees of the Lord. So this is how, and then one should give up this inborn conceptions of religion, meaning saying, oh, this is what my family tradition says that I should do, without any scriptural regulations to it. You should give up all that and develop faith in the Shastra. So this is the way we can actually attain and slowly transcend and go out of this modes of material nature and transcend the modes and be involved in the process of pure devotional service. So which is what is clarified by this 28th verse. And whatever you do, charity, penance, or austerity, without faith on the Supreme is going to give you impermanent results. So it's going to be useless for you, because they are all within this modes of material nature. And because it's in the modes of material nature, it is temporary and it's useless. So with this, we are going to conclude today's session. I know that I went over a little bit, but thank you, Mataji. Summary here. Arjuna's inquiry about the unauthorized worship of those who have some faith, which is not based on scriptures, was talked about in the first verse. And 2 to 7th verse, 2 to 7, talks about 3 modes and how it actually determines one's faith and worship was talked about. 8 to 10 talked about food in the 3 modes, yajna, dana, tapa. That is the order in which we are going, right? And sacrifice in 3 modes is also something that we saw. And we saw 3 kinds of austerities. Austerity of the mind, body, and speech. And 17 to 19 talked about austerity in the 3 modes. And 20 to 22 talked about charity in the 3 modes. And then the conclusion says that any sacrifice, charity, austerity done without faith in the Supreme is impermanent and it is asat. So we definitely need to have faith in the Supreme Personality of Lord Godhead. And even if you chant Om Tat Sat before any kind of activity that you perform, then slowly you will get elevated and come out of the modes eventually, and start following the scriptures. This is what will happen eventually as you slowly get to this platform of Om Tat Sat, okay, which is what we discussed in 26th and 27th verse. And with this, we conclude today's sessions for the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Radhika Mataji. What a wonderful summary of the 17th chapter. Very, very nice examples, and you covered all the points in all the verses about charity, sacrifice, austerity, and food, and very nice flow, Mataji. So many examples and very clear it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji, for this opportunity once again. I know this will be probably my last session for this this group. So thank you definitely, Mataji, for this opportunity and for your kindness. I totally appreciate it, Mataji. Hari Bol.
We are very grateful, Mataji. Thank you for giving us your association, your insight and enlightenment on this. So thanks to you for your association, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
So kind of you. Thank you, Mataji. Hari Bol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
So if anyone has any questions or comments, please go ahead now.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Very, very beautiful, beautiful class, Mataji. So many examples, so many verses. You are just nicely reciting, Mataji. So nice, nice to hear. And especially, I love the summaries. Everybody, whoever does the Bhagavad Gita class, Mataji, at the end, the summary helps me because to understand at last what that chapter is and where the verses, which verses goes in which category. Thank you so much, Mataji. That really helps me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Thank you for your service in Bhakti Sangha, and thank you for helping us with the recordings, with starting the class on time, and helping us various ways possible. I totally appreciate your association, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Lakshmi Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for your wonderful class. Mataji, I had just two questions.
Yes.
Mataji, while you were telling about the, 1 second, Mataji. Yeah, about the demonic austerity. So yeah, like in last class also, Laltang Mataji was telling the example of Brahmasura. So the question that comes in mind is, Mataji, like we know that it is a demonic austerity. Then why does the demigods, like, they give the benediction? We know, like, it's been the ones who those are doing are demons, so they know that. So like we can itself know. We can itself understand, right? When somebody is talking, we know in what mood they're talking or what are they expecting, what is the nature. Then why do they give these benedictions?
Yes, Mataji. So there are two things. If you look at the demigod worshippers, the purpose of them going to the demigods is that they are going to give benefits to them quickly. No matter what, they are going to easily achieve the results. If they go and ask for demigods, the demigods are going to be pleased because because of the austerities that they are performing, they will soon grant them boons. That is why they go to to go and take the help of demigods. And of course, when demigods give the benediction, we all know it is temporary only. It is not eternal. So at the end of the day, Vishnu or Krishna, Krishna will be glorified. No matter whatever benediction they give, it is all to glorify Krishna at the end of the day, to prove Krishna's supremacy, to prove Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is he is the one who's cause of all causes. Only he can give eternal benefits. That is the realization a devotee actually gets through these kinds of pastimes. With the demigods and all that, they giving the benedictions ultimately to glorify Lord Krishna and prove the eternality of the benefits that the devotees of Krishna get in comparison to the benefits that the demigods give. They are very temporary. It's not eternal, right?
Oh, okay, Mataji. So that is understood. Like, anyway, it's a temporary one. It's not it's not going to be eternal problem. And second point that you said was very nice, Mataji, because at the end of the day, it's going to be glorified to Lord Vishnu only. He's come to take part and do something, which we like devotees can. That's why we read the leelas, or not. We're not going to get the leelas. Okay, Mataji, that's wonderful. And one more question was that, Mataji, like you were talking about the Lakshmi Puja, in the mode of passion they used to do. But the point is, Mataji, we see while doing puja also, they keep some brahmanas, and the brahmanas used to do the puja for them. Or like Kuber Puja or Lakshmi Puja, they perform, but the brahmanas, they sit and do the puja. And the persons who are organizing or who are the host of the puja, they may be in that mentality. They're doing it for getting the money or something. Now the question is, in the Vedas, you mentioned in the Vedas, we know we always prefer Lakshmi Narayan. We don't separately worship the goddess. Like with Lord Ram, we go to Sita Mother. Then how do they come to this mentality of separating the God and doing it? Because anyway, if they follow the scriptures or if they follow it, it is said that you have to do together. So how do they end up with that idea, Mataji?
So these people, they are not following pure devotional service, Mataji. This is not pure devotional service. When it's intended for pure devotional service, you do it for the pleasure of Lord Krishna. You do it with following the shastras, what the procedures of the scriptures say. And these people, I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, even though they are done with the brahmanas in upfront, when they are actually doing it, they are asking some material benefits. I mean, they may get the material benefits if they follow through whatever the scriptures say in accordance with the scriptures, performing Lakshmi Puja, whatever. If they do it accordance with the scriptures, they may get benefits, but that benefits is temporary. That's what, at the end of the day, whatever they do see, one classification is if they follow scriptures, not follow scriptures. If they follow scriptures, then whatever benefits that they get, say for example on the Karma Kandya platform, if the Vedas say you perform the 100 Ashwamedha Yajnas, you become Indra. They perform that and they become Indra. But again, even if you become Indra, you can be there in the heavenly planets for say 10,000 demigod years or whatever. After that, you have to come back. Unless you go and do the supreme worship of Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the benefits are going to be temporary benefits, no matter what. So this is the understanding, Mataji. At the end of the day, if you are doing some sort of sacrifice with a particular mode that you want, if you are going to follow scriptures, then accordingly you will get some benefits, and that benefits are going to be temporary. And if you are not going to follow any kind of scriptures with no faith, if you do, then it's all going to be asat, which is temporary and useless.
Okay, Mataji. Now it's clear. Now it's understood. So, at end of the day, it's going to be temporary.
Correct.
So except from the mode of goodness, the other two modes, whatever they do, it's going to be a temporary result. So it's not very much valued.
And so mode of goodness, if it's going to follow the essence of Vedas, then obviously then that reward is going to be permanent. So we have to understand what the mode of goodness people are hankering. And I mean, obviously they don't have any intentions for reward or any kind of fruitive activity. They follow the directions of the scripture. So accordingly, they will get that punya or credit for them. Unless you worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is akarma, Mataji, there is no punya or papa associated with it. That is all akarma. But if you are worshipping demigods, even if you are in the mode of goodness, that will be temporary only. The benefits will be temporary. That we need to be clear of. See, because the Vedas talks about Karma Kandya portion also. So if you have that Karma Kandya mentality, which is mode of passion, of course, but again, I'm just saying, clarifying that in the scriptures also, we must worship the Supreme God, who is Lord Krishna.
Okay, Mataji. Because why I got this doubt is when we read a Mahabharat, we know Pandavas, they were doing the Ashwamedha Yajna and they were doing big yajnas, right? Mm-hmm. They are devotees of God, but still they were doing the yajnas. So that's why I had that question, like because I don't actually in what mode they're doing. It may be in mode of goodness only, as you said, but I don't know the details about the yajna, particular yajna, what they're doing and what the benefit they're gonna get. But we know even the devotees of Krishna, which Krishna was present there and they were doing the yajnas. So that's a doubt I had.
So yes, Mataji, when you look at obviously the Pandavas, what we learn is that when they perform, see, the sacrifice that they do ultimately led them to renunciation through wisdom. So initially they were all enjoying so much opulence, and through these the sacrifices that they performed, they started to renounce and they started to renunciate. And the yajnas that they perform was going to benefit the whole world. And even when they do Indra Swaha, they know Krishna. It all goes to Krishna at the end of the day. If you perform any kind of sacrifice, knowing Krishna to be the benefactor of all sacrifices, then that is transcendental. You know that even though there are demigods, ultimately it is Krishna who's going to be the enjoyer of the Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. So if you understand that Krishna is the benefactor of these sacrifices, then it is transcendental, Mataji. So they had the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He is going to be the enjoyer. Even though these yajnas are benefiting the common people, it is all, we see that common people have to be benefited and they have to at least come to this Karma Kandya platform first. And so these people, they act as role models so that these common people can follow through them. So slowly elevate, because not everybody can come to directly pure devotional service. Somehow they have to come to karma kandya. After that, once they could do the karma kandya, they will have to leave the fruitive mentality and get themselves detached, perform nishkama karma yoga, and then they slowly start to elevate and come to the association of devotees, and through that they get to the pure devotional service. Slowly, step by step, only these people can have that come to the platform of devotional service. So, but with Pandavas, they always had this mood that Krishna is the benefactor of all sacrifices, even though they were performing so many sacrifices. And at the end of the day, through these sacrifices, they lost taste for the opulence and power, and they were able to completely renounce everything at the end of the day. When they were asked to go to the forest, they completely renounced everything, all the opulences. If you look at, they said, okay, I'm just going to leave everything, right?
Yes, Mataji. Okay, so the idea is the Pandavas had the mood. They were sure it was going to Krishna. So the mood was important. Okay.
Correct. The
Yes,
intentions
Mataji.
and thoughts were
Yeah, the intention was good. Okay.
correct.
And one final question, Mataji, like it's a basic question. So when you talk about the austerity of speech, mind, and body, like why only these three are being chosen, like speech, mind, and body? Like we even listen and we have intelligence also. So why these three are being chosen here, Mataji?
So the thing is, at the end of the day, if you look at the austerities, this is all talking about the sattvic austerities. It is austerity, how we speech, because mind, body, and words, they play a very important role, right? Anytime we say, it's always a mind, body, and words. BMW is what we always say, right? Mind, body, and words. Those are the three things. So if one can master this, then anything else, everything else can be mastered at the end of the day. That is the understanding. And again, he talks about the austerity in the three modes later after this. So he's not leaving with this, right? Austerity in the three modes is also being talked about after this. So one, if he does it with transcendental faith, that is in the mode of goodness. This is in the mode of passion. This is in self-torture. If you do, that is in the mode of ignorance. So we always go through BMW, mind, body, and speech. So if you do take care, so if you take care of the mind, first it's the mind, and then if you take care of, because if the mind says something and if you don't follow through the mind, then you will start to blabber something. Then you have to control the mind first, then you control the speech, and actions of the body will automatically be controlled. So this is the order in which you go through.
Okay, Mataji. So the question why it came to me is because you see the intelligent people, like scientists, we say, they are very intelligent, they understand everything, but still they are in an atheistic, sometimes they're more into atheistic view. They don't have faith. So their intelligence is playing a big role. So that's why I asked that.
So that is taken care of in the mind itself, Mataji. You start, so this, when you look into the mind, aspects of mind, it is, gravity is silence. And Srila Prabhupada also clarifies that gravity means to talk about the pastimes, to glorify Lord Krishna. The best course of mind is to deviate the Vedic literature by satisfying stories, reading stories such as Puranas, Mahabharatas, and reading the Vedic literature. So this is the way the mind can become purified. So when your mind is here, it's also, obviously reading these scriptures only will help us purify the intelligence as well. So obviously the intelligence is taken care of because you are getting into the Vedic literatures and start to glorifying. Gravity is to glorify Lord Krishna. That means you have to do a lot of Vedic studies, and then only it will purify you. For you to glorify, you have to read and understand and be able to realize those pastimes, right?
Okay.
And with regards to philosophers, with regards to scientists, they all have material intelligence, Mataji. Material intelligence has nothing to do with spiritual intelligence. So the spiritual, once you get the spiritual credits only, you can definitely come into this path of devotional service. So obviously you can be a doctor, you can be a PhD person, you can be a scientist who has invented multiple things, but you can still be an atheist, and that has nothing to do with your spiritual account. One can be just a cobbler, or he can just be a poor person, but still he can be spiritual into practicing pure devotional service. So the material qualifications doesn't determine your spiritual qualification.
Okay, so that is a material intelligence. So that doesn't
Yes,
have
Mataji.
anything to do with the spiritual intelligence.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, Mataji. Okay. Fine, Mataji. So it was a very nice session. And thank you so much for your service, Mataji. And thank everybody for the slides and everything they do in the background work for all the Matajis and Prabhujis. Jai Sachinandana, Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Jai Sachinandana. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Hare Krishna Aji. Radhika Gopi, Danvat Koti Koti Danvat Pranam to all Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki Jai. Mataji, you are explaining so nicely all the slides, and we can understand how much you put your efforts, Mataji. And then thank you, Lakshmi Mataji, for all the question. Mataji, I have one question not related to today's class. Can I go, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, please go.
Mataji, every month or every 2 weeks we hear that devotees, kids are suffering, that mind is not working, they are passing from cancer, that they are passing from COVID. So even devotee also, small 5 years Gaurangi is passing, her mind not functioning. It's stop, Mataji. All organs are not functioning. So why it's happened with devotees, kids? They came from different world, Mataji. They are not ordinary personality. Because I hear whenever I disturb or whenever I am working, not able to give an answer, but feel so happy to hear a sloka and that translation from small kids. Put so much efforts by all Bhakti Sangha teachers. So Mataji, question is why they are suffering, Mataji? What is their fault, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, very, very sad. I also heard about that, and very, very painful, very difficult to take that message. And again, Krishna is Swarat, he is independent. But it is again and again coming back to us that this material world is temporary. It is Dukkalayam Ashashvatam. It is full of dualities, both happiness and dvandva. I mean, this dvandva, right? Duality is there. Both happiness, when there is happiness, we take it. At the same time, when there is distress, we are trying to ask Krishna, why is this distress coming to me? This shows that Krishna, he is the permanent one, and this is where our attachment has to go completely. It is sometimes to intensify our attachment to Lord Krishna. Sometimes it happens to the devotees. You come closer to me. You come very, very close to me. Don't have any attachments with this material world. This material world is very temporary. There is no permanent thing that can exist in this material world. So I want you to come closer to me. That is the hint Krishna is giving to the devotees, Matajis. I mean, because we need to understand the temporary nature of this material world. Everything in this material world has a lifespan. But because she is born devotee, she will definitely go to a very superior destination. Nothing to worry about. When there was lamentation of Chitraketu Maharaj, when his son passed away, and when Narada Muni brought him back to life, this particular person, right? I mean, he Harsha Shok, he asked, which father are you talking about? Are you talking about the father from the previous life, this life? Which father am I talking about? I know only one father, Supreme Father, who is Lord Krishna. So I really want to go back to him, and that is the soul. That is what the soul hankers for, Mataji. And this particular soul, whoever that small devotee girl is, she has a very big destination waiting for her. So there is, even if it were to happen, Krishna will take care, Mataji. Krishna is intervening with each and every devotee's life. See, he knows he has more attachment towards us than us. More than even the parents have towards the child. Krishna is close because he is there in the heart as Paramatma. And that is what this chapter talks about. This chapter talks about the faith that a person has. And that faith, the more faith you have, the more you will think it to be the plan of the Lord and the will of the Lord, and everything happens for a reason. Krishna is the cause of all causes. Maybe he wants me to intensify his affection for him. Maybe he wants me to understand that everything in this material world is temporary, and these are all the realizations he will give to that devotee, Mataji. Through that process, the devotee will slowly start to completely focus on Lord Krishna, and completely there is no more attachments to him left in this world. So that is the way we look at it, because even with Narada Muni, he took away his mother, who was just a maid servant. The only person who he had was his mom, and to intensify the affection, he actually took away the mother also. So through the Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand over and over that this material nature is dukhalem ashashvatam. There is no need to get ourselves bound. We have to perform our duty. We have to give our Krishna, we have to give children a Krishna conscious education. And again, at the end of the day, whatever Krishna desires, that is what we should leave it up to. He knows he is Swarat, and we should have complete trust on him that whatever he does, it is all going to favor that devotee at the end of the day.
Can I ask one more question by all Vaishnavas mercy?
Yes, Mataji, Hari Bol.
Mataji, I'm taking care of my patient. She's 85 years old. From last 1.5 years, I'm taking care like a standby. Somebody is not coming, then I have to work. Now I'm taking care of her from 3 days in a week. So Mataji, I try my best to give a Krishna conscious. They will not accept, but whatever the Gnan is, that holy book or tasbeen, but she is not ready to accept. But instead of that, hearing all the filmy song, and so the family member is staying upstairs. They said try to give her our spiritual knowledge. So Mataji, it is very hard somehow after 1.5 years today able to hear her tasbeen. There is a like our prayers. So why it's happened, Mataji? Why we are not able to give a Krishna conscious or their whatever their knowledge of their path, but why they are not accepting Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. So for this, I would like to give you a real life example. This is of Vaishishika Prabhu. We all know Vaishishika Maharaj. He is into book distribution, right? And this was during just now he started to go on a book distribution. And during that time, he happened to give the books to obviously the passers on the road, right? He goes to an intersection point and then waits for people to come so he can give the books to those people. So most of the times in the history, it has happened such that whenever Vaishishika Prabhu goes for book distribution, 99% of the time, everybody will accept the book from him. But this time, it so happened that there was this devotee who was not a devotee. There was this passer, somebody who was passing by this road, and he happened to give her a copy of the book to her. And without even looking at him, she just turned the face away from him. She just went away. And then there was this was one incident that happened. And one of the devotees, she happened to go and question Maharaj, what is going on? What is this? Most of the times you always are successful in distributing books. Why are you not able to do it this time? I mean, what is it? Like that, this devotee was questioning Maharaj, and Maharaj responded saying, see, each and every time this particular person, whoever comes in contact with the devotee of Lord Krishna, he accumulates the spiritual credit just by the look of that person. So you are going and treating a particular patient, right? And that patient, he has material impressions from lifetimes, and that lifetime impressions have to be change to spiritual impressions. How can that happen? It happens through the connection, association of a devotee. So each and every contact that you make with that particular person actually helps him get the spiritual credit. And eventually, when that credit is completed, when he is able to get the full credits, Bahunam Janmanamante, at that time, he will be able to start to say, I want to listen Bhagavad Gita, I want to have a copy of the book. So it takes lot of years or lot of spiritual credits for that person to accumulate. There is also another incident with Vaishishika Maharaj. What happened was there was this lady who this book was being offered to, and this lady did not get that book. Okay, and what happened? She went this side, and after a while, she came back the same way. I mean, she went to some place, she bought something, and then came back. And Vaishishika Maharaj, she happened to pass Vaishishika Maharaj again. So we will think, oh, Vaishishika Maharaj already tried giving book to that lady. She's not going to accept that book anymore. We know that. But Vaishika Maharaj, see his mercy, he again contacted her. He again asked for her. See, can you again, can you take this book? Like that, he requested it again. Each and every time he's being rejected by a devotee, we can only see bliss in his face. We can only see, because his intention is that this person has come in touch with a devotee of the Lord. Soon he's accumulating credits, and eventually he'll come to a point where he'll accumulate all enough credits to be able to be involved in the devotional service. That is his mentality. So it is not that how many books we sell is the point. How many devotees are we coming in contact with? How many devotees are we associating with? That is what matters. So Mataji, to your point, see, he has material impressions, and this material impressions cannot go in 1 day or 2 days or a month. It needs a lot of association, and this association is what you are helping her with. So this, you should keep on doing this, Mataji. That way, slowly, she will definitely elevate. Okay, Mataji, if not in this line, next time, definitely, because of all the Krishna Prasad that you're giving, different, because of the association that you have, because of the words you speak to glorify Krishna, all this helps her, Mataji. Just a contact with a pure devotee or a devotee of the Lord helps with the accumulation of spiritual credits. That is the understanding, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev Ki Jai, Shri Radha Gopinath Ki Jai. Yes, Mataji, praying for that soul, Mataji.
Praying, Mataji, yes. And even if your family members are non-Krishna conscious, they will soon become Krishna conscious because of your association. Because of your association, they will turn into Krishna conscious devotees. That is I'm just saying it in general, Mataji. That is the hope. So obviously we will all.
It is working after 22 years, Mataji.
See, Mataji, that is the thing.
They are more sincere than me. They are more sincere.
Wonderful, Mataji. Hari.
Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji, for your association. In spite of so much work, you came and gave your association to this forum. Totally
no, Mataji, thank you for all Vaishnava, all Bhakti Sangha Teachers Association. They give us strength to serve Vaishnava. They give us strength to do our material job. Sometimes we depress that how can I tackle this situation? But all the Bhakti Sangha teachers are working hard to give a Krishna conscious. They give us strength to all of us, Mataji. Thank you for your association, all Bhakti Sangha Teachers Association. Dandavat.
Dandavat pranams.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Very nice class and wonderful question and answer session. So, anybody has?
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for your association all through the sessions. We really value your association, Prabhu.
Thank you so much. You explain like to kids, Mataji, like it's so much interest. It's so much enthusiasm. Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Bol. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, thank you all very much, devotees. So if there is no other comment or question, maybe we can conclude this session. So let's all pay obeisances to Mataji and all the assembled devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Ananta Koti
Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.
Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Hare Krishna.
Radhika Kasturi
Mataji ki jai.
To the assembled devotees, Mataji. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.